Plugged Inland represents KVCR's continuing interest in focusing on important issues in the inland area. Supported by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, we're looking into innovations and solutions in education as part of the American Graduate Let's Make It Happen. And you can help us make it happen. Call us anytime during the show at 866-367-5827. Or you can send questions or comments right from our website at pluggedinland.org. Or you can email us questions and comments to questions@pluggedinland.org. And you can tweet us at @KVCR. Good evening and welcome to Plugged Inland. I'm Roger Bowman. Tonight we'll look at an innovative education program that's leveraging our sense of civic duty. This nonprofit recruits high-performing college graduates to teach at low-income schools throughout America. Let's begin with a short video that highlights a college graduate who signed up to teach in lieu of immediately pursuing his graduate degree.
When I was younger and undergraduate, you didn't see as much of the gap years between undergraduate graduation and then further schooling at med school or whatever school. And you're seeing more of it now. I know there's a little bit more of a burnout factor at the undergraduate level, but you see more students putting off going off to graduate school until they explore some other avenues. And I think Alfred's always had a big heart and he's interested in the community. So I wasn't that surprised, even though he's an intense, hardcore student. And he would not have been my first guess to have put off med school or graduate school in general. But I was pleased to hear that he was committing his extensive abilities to helping young people before he headed off to med school.
What I love about Alpha is that he can go with the flow. He started in September, right after we had started our classes. And what he brought with him was an enthusiasm I have yet to see in many young teachers. His schedule has changed throughout the year on several occasions, but we finally stabilized his schedule in chemistry. And the second semester he wanted to do some sports with the kids, and we have the Youth Policy Institute that has a grant that helps the kids in after-school programming and tutoring. So Alpha wanted to start a flag football team, and he did so, and the kids were great. The kids were much more focused in their academics, and they bought into academics at a much higher level through the sports program. Sports really do help academics, and I saw that while Alpha was coaching the flag football team members.
Alpha comes off as a fun-loving guy, very nice. People can approach him. He's very approachable, which I think will take him far. So whatever he's doing now, I'm sure will affect a lot of kids in the future for keeping them in school, keeping them focused on playing sports and doing the schoolwork. Because I personally feel that people who play sports while in school, they seem to manage their time better, and they seem to be more disciplined. For him to be in that role, I think is a good thing.
It's been said that the dropout rate in LAUSD is at a very higher percentage than any other part of the country. And I think, don't quote me, but I believe they said it was at 50%. And what Alpha has done with the kids is make them understand how important going to college is, or how important it is to complete high school. High school is just the first stepping stone there is for a future career. Now, what Alpha and TFA and many teachers have done is give the students an option to apply to a four-year college, not right now, but in the future. But first things first, kids here need to graduate from high school. And as a charter school and a smaller charter school, we want that to happen for every student. And I know specifically Alpha is wanting that for every single student that he has in chemistry and his flag football team.
With us now in studio is Alpha Anders, a teacher at a Los Angeles charter school founded by, of all things, a film producer. Thank you for being here, Alpha.
Thank you so much for having me.
So this film producer is Mr.
Esparza,
who I know actually produced Gettysburg. So as a kind of a Civil War buff, I appreciate his work there.
I appreciate his work in my classroom. He hooks us up with the copy machine.
Now this is a charter school that's fairly new.
It's yeah, I believe it's '05 it started. We just graduated our first senior class. They started off at the beginning in middle school, went all the way through. Big shout out to them. It's very great to see what they've done.
You graduated your first set. So basically these high schoolers took, what, 6 or 7 years to graduate? I mean, that doesn't sound very good.
No. You see, we start in middle school, and then we go straight to high school. It's all one campus, but we have a distinguishing factor. We have middle school students wearing blue polos, and our high school students wearing gray ones. So we could see who's who and who belongs in the hole during which passing period.
So you're actually a charter school that has 6th grade through 12th grade. It's very unusual.
It's different, but you know, it has its benefits. Students that are going to eventually be in some of our classes in high school, they know who we are. We get our reputation as this teacher, that teacher. They know our rules and regulations, and they just kind of get this flow. They understand what it means to be at LAAAE. They know what it means to be a student there and what it takes to get through the day and do well.
So what is LAAAE?
Los Angeles Academy of Arts and Enterprise. It rolls off the tongue.
It does. It just, who couldn't forget that? Arts and Enterprise. So what are the arts and enterprise that you focus on?
So it's basically, we have a very great video arts and productions classes. We have film, art. We have an excellent music teacher that teaches guitar, piano, singing. Whenever we have our shows, they're great. Our students are pretty talented, and it's pretty cool because they also bring that into my classroom, and I try to have them draw as much as they can. We learned this new topic in chemistry. It's time to draw it now, and they have a strong connection with drawing. Students that come to my school, they sign up for an arts and enterprise. They sign up for that, and then we...
So this is for the gifted kids in Central Orange County, right?
This is for any kid that could come, and we'll hopefully get them to a place where they're gifted if they're not already gifted.
Okay, you know I was being facetious before. Where are you located and what's your demographic?
We are downtown LA, a mile and a half west, 6th Street and Lafayette Park. We have a beautiful scenery of Lafayette Park right across the street.
So you're downtown LA. Not that there aren't gifted kids, but you're not a gifted charter. You are just a charter that accepts anybody.
We accept everybody. We have enrollments right now. If you are living in that area and want to come, I suggest you come. Whoever's come. So the school's great though. We mesh arts and we mesh content very well. And
enterprise being the business side of life.
Business. We have some econ. We emphasize that. I try to bring that into my material a lot. Because students like money. If a problem all of a sudden, math, this is hard. It's algebra. But now I'm solving for dollars. It makes it much easier. They think about money all the time. So
if X equals the amount you'll get remunerated later on, then suddenly...
I'm ready to do the problem.
Okay, that makes sense. So you're there not because you wanted to be a teacher, though. Fill me in on that.
Well, I did. Like growing up, I've always been like, being a teacher sounds great, but being like my dad sounds pretty cool too. And my dad, he is a pulmonologist in Bakersfield, California.
Explain briefly what that is.
Lung doctor. He treats asthma, treats cancer, valley fever, lungs. And so basically, my father, he has a story that's similar to my students. He grew up in Colorado Springs. He never met his father, but found the motivation to rise out of his low-income community, go to high school, graduate, go to college, graduate magna cum laude, go to Cornell Medical School, graduate, and then now he owns his own practice and he is a chief of staff.
I'm sure he's great, but you're telling me he graduates magna cum laude and goes to Cornell and he's in Bakersfield.
And he's chief of staff of 2 hospitals, owns his own practice and doing very well and raised 3 pretty cool kids. My sisters are pretty cool as well. So
he turned it around.
He turned it around.
Not, in your case, like you said, that story, he didn't know his father, and he turns his life around and does exceedingly well. He's your hero.
So, and I've always thought, I'm going to do science. I went through high school, I'm studying science. I'm good at math, I'm good at science, I'm going to be a doctor. So I went to college taking doctor classes, taking pre-med. I studied molecular biology.
So you skated through, mostly just doing Facebook and study hall.
I'm not even study hall. I pretty much sleep in classes. I like to draw, pass notes. I'm vacant. So no, school, it was tough, but it was manageable. And I got through it. Junior, senior year, I'm thinking to myself, wow, medical school, that sounds cool. But that's quite the commitment. And before I'm ready to do that, I got to figure out more who I am, what I want to do, and stop trying to be this awesome guy. Like my dad, I strive to be him. I have mad respect, mad honor. That guy's done it all. I need to figure out, though, what I want to do. And so in order to figure that out, I wanted to take a step back, and try to do something beyond myself. So my entire life, I've been doing things for me. I've been going to school for me, playing sports for me, working hard for me. Now I'm doing things for my 100 students that I see every day. And in doing so, I'm starting to understand myself better than I ever have.
So you connected with an organization. You didn't become a teacher right away. As I understand, you connected with this organization, Teach for America Corps. I've described it kind of as the Peace Corps for the education of America.
I mean, we are working with AmeriCorps themselves, so Teach for America has the best interests of all the students across the country, and they're trying to offer a way to get students like myself to get into the classroom and not just like really figure out who they are and what they're doing, but change, do something to help the education system.
Okay, I think we time shifted there for a moment. I just want to dissect this. You said a student like yourself. You're now a teacher. You connected with them while you were a student, though. Is that what you're saying?
So yeah, when I was a senior, I applied to this organization, and they take people that want to be teachers for careers. They take people that want to go into law, policy, go into whatever end game they have in mind. This is their mid game. This is their development game. This is them allowing to develop themselves while, like I said, doing something way beyond themselves.
I conceive of most educators as being those people that knew they wanted to be a teacher, or somehow they got out of college and they decided the academic world is one they want to be a part of, so they stay in academia by going and becoming a teacher. But Teach for America Corps takes people that have different careers in mind and just says, give me 2 years.
Well, if we think about this, Teach for America's big picture. They're thinking outside of the box. We have this excellent student that goes to an excellent college, and they want to be a teacher in a low-income community. Now, let's say this person studied policy. They're poli-science. And then they go on, they do their 2 years, maybe a few extra years, and they go on and go into politics. Maybe they go into law. Maybe, just roll with me. We're spitballing here. Maybe they're the president of the United States of America. Now, that would be able to invoke the most change possible in education if they have this authentic, direct experience with education. If the people that are making the education decisions knew exactly how they affected the students in the classrooms, maybe their decisions would be a little different.
So I'm going to summarize this, but you tell me if I've got it right or wrong. Teach for America Corps takes these very good college students, such as yourself, and then connects them with schools where they wouldn't normally have access to that caliber of teacher. Not impugning the teachers that are there, but most teachers that are doing very well in very good colleges aren't going to look to go to Rampart in LA.
I mean, and that's not necessarily the case, though. There are great teachers that went to great schools that have that desire to go back to their communities or communities similar to that and teach. Now, like, that's talking about a broad spectrum of teachers. Everybody has different motivations. Everyone has different reasons for why they do things. I know that Teach for America allows people to pursue this different career that would not be available to them unless they decided to make the life decision to teach. And it gives them an opportunity to experience something that, like I said, is very, very empowering for yourself. And while you're doing so, hopefully you empower your students to really learn more.
So what do you teach at that school?
I teach chemistry.
Okay, so you teach chemistry to a bunch of kids in downtown LA who generally were economically struggling. How interested in chemistry can they be?
I mean, some of them come in, they like chemistry, they like science, they enjoyed it in middle school. Some of them tell me, I hate science. I don't want to learn this. And I say, come on, this is cool. Science is neat. This explains why me and you are me and you. See how you look at our skin? It's made up of tissues, which are made up of cells, which are made up of atoms, which make up everything. And that's really cool. And students, when they get to experience science in a positive way, they tend to like it more than hate it. Some of them have had bad experiences. I mean, it happens. But being able to teach chemistry allows me to offer material in video, hands-on, laboratory. Just give them the opportunity to learn an alternative means that maybe they have not experienced before, but when they do get to experience it, some of them have really taken a liking to it.
It sounds great. You mentioned polo shirts. I'm just going to circle back for a moment because you're talking downtown LA kids that are following a dress code?
So yeah, dress codes. They're important. Now, is what you're wearing really going to affect what you learn on a board that exact moment? No. But the point of education isn't just to deliver content. That's not my job is to teach them chemistry. At the end of the year, my effectiveness is measured by a test. But I view my job to go way beyond that test. If that were the case, my job would have ended the day after that test. But no, I teach for an extra month. The reason is as teachers, we're there to help mold and help students really become adults as they leave our classrooms. I have students that are 15 to 18 years old. So when they're done with me a year or two later, they're out in the real world. And in that real world, they might have a dress code. And when you have that dress code, you have to adhere to it. And so it's one of those things that you're like, oh, it doesn't matter. Well, kind of does. We're developing those skills and those mindsets that you have to be successful.
How much pushback is there to the dress code from the kids themselves?
There's a bit, and I think the funniest pushback is the tucking in the shirts. So it's really minute. It's not a big deal, but students don't want to tuck in their shirts. It's very, very small thing to get caught up on, but it's pretty easy to do.
But they have to tuck in their shirts.
They sure do. Some students like to wear shirts big and baggy. Some of them like to wear them too small to tuck in. But at the end of the day, you're at school. This is the rule. We tuck it in. If you have a job and you have to wear a shirt and tie and you come in without a tie, your boss will be like, hey, where's your tie? Hey, tuck in your shirt.
So they're getting acclimated to it. That's that soft skills, preparing them for the rigors of real life.
And real life is hard. I mean, it's not going to be easy, and you have to be ready to go in the real world.
So in your college career, you played a sport, did you not?
I played a little bit of football.
You played some football, and we heard from your assistant coach at the Pomona College where you went to, and you went to this charter school, and they did not have a football program.
So, yeah, we didn't have a football program, and I had students, they were like, Mister, I want to play football. And I'm like, I like football. I like that you want to play. Maybe we could get together and figure something out. So by winter break, I've been talking to YPI, Youth Policy Institute. They're an organization that helps fund our athletic programs at our school. And they got together with me. There was a league that was inside of March, and we said, what the heck, let's go for it. And I had about 12 truly dedicated players on the team. I had some more that would come in and out, but I had a strong group of 12 that we got to play flag football. No, it's not tackle football, and that's what they wanted to play, but football is football. At the end of the day, you develop those skills like discipline, teamwork, working together for a common goal, these things that, yes, you could teach in a classroom, but it's pretty hard to. But you get to develop them very well playing a sport like football. My favorite part about coaching football was being able to present myself in an alternative light than my student-teacher relationship. Like, my students see me in front of the classroom. They know me as Mr. Anders. I had some students get to know me as Coach Anders, and yeah, we're the same guy, but we're different. We have our differences. One's trying to manage a classroom, and one's teaching you how to throw and catch a ball. One also likes to put on some tennis shoes and run around with you, too. So I got to have some fun with my kids in a very authentic, fun way that was outside of content.
We have an email, and I'm going to get to the email first, and then I want to talk a little bit more about the marriage of football and academics, because there's been some controversy, I think, in our nation over that. First, the email, Gina of Fontana wrote in, would I have to pay to get my 7th grader in your school?
No, admission's free. It's a charter school. We are publicly and privately funded. Mr. Esparza does a big thanks to that. And so coming to my school is a free school. It's a charter public school.
That sounds great. I mentioned the football controversy, and it's not really controversial, but our video talked a little bit about the kids, and we're going to go into more of that later with another video. Kids thinking that the football actually inspires them to do better at academics, when the common perception, I think, is that the kids that sign up for football are those that just want to do the bare minimum in academics.
So I've been fortunate to have good leadership in my football programs that have taken the real most important values and put them at the front. My high school football coach told me, academics, religion, and family. Put those in any order for yourself. Number 4 is football, and it will always be football. And that's what you make a commitment as part of this team. And so that value I've kept through high school, through college, and now for my team. So my students know that if they're not at grade point average, they're not going to play. Next year, I'm trying to make it even harder, where if you want to start, you have to have a 2.5, and to get on the field, you have a 2.0. So as I do this more, I'm going to raise the bar. But it's essential to make it clear, stress that academics comes first. Because without academics, I mean, what are you at school for?
Alpha, I'm getting a sense of your passion for what you're doing and teaching these kids. Is this indeed a 2-year gig for you? Are you going to pursue medical school?
So teaching, I've already decided that I'm definitely going to do a 3rd year. I want to see all my students I had first in my class graduate, and I had sophomores and juniors. So I want to see them walk the stage as a member of my school, and I look forward to that. I cannot wait for that day. Now, after that, med school is on the horizon. I'm thinking about maybe graduate school, teaching at the collegiate level. I've found that I really do like the act of teaching, passing on knowledge in a fun, effective means through some telling, a lot more inquiry. I like to focus on students asking questions and answering them through, here's some information to read, here's what we've already learned, let's connect some dots and do it on your own, because that's how you really learn. And watching that take place is one of the funnest parts about my job. So whether I go to medical school or whether I go to get a PhD or I somehow stay in education, I'm really not sure. I'm preparing myself for any decision I have to make. I'm currently studying for my MCATs, and then I'm going to take my GRE, so all my doors are open. And yeah, it's a tough decision, but it's a cool problem to have. I don't know what I'm going to do. Grad school, PhD, education, they're all great avenues.
So Teach for America, this program tries to connect teachers for 2 years. You're going to go a 3rd. Who designed this 2-year idea?
2 years is like the optimal year for somebody like myself that is kind of unsure about their future and wants to keep doors open. So 1 year, there was an increase in applications. 3 years, there's a big decrease. So 2 years is right between, and that's that perfect amount of time. That's a good commitment. It's long enough to actually do something tangible and effective in your classroom. After year 1, you finally have all your material, you have your curriculum, you've done a year, you're experienced, you're a veteran, you're ready to come back in the classroom and do even better. 1 year is not enough. 3 years scares some awesome applicants away. And the thing is that if you enjoy it and if it's something you want to do, there's people that will continue to teach for an extra year, 2 extra years, 3 extra years before they continue on whatever endeavor they seek to pursue.
Okay, so let me throw this idea at you. What do you do when you have actual teachers that are ostensibly career teachers that feel displaced by all of these young graduates of college just coming in, kind of taking the jobs and then leaving so quickly?
I mean, that's a tough question. It's been asked to a lot of different people, but in my opinion, I don't think that there's any reason to have any animosity. We're all here to do the same thing. We're all here working together. And at the end of the day, like, we are trying to help students. And whoever does a job, I think that as long as students are learning, we should all be happy.
Do you think that Teach for America Corps or you are making a difference, being that you're moved into an area that you didn't have any experience in before?
I think we're making a great difference. I think that I would like to see more. I'd like to see myself do a better job next year, but I think I've done a decent job. I think I've gotten my content across, and I think I've helped really show students exactly what it means to be college ready and what it means to have control of your life path and what it means to have these options. I talk to my students all about my life decisions. I'll talk to them, I don't know what I want to do, guys. Do you know what you want to do? Let's figure it out together. Let's have a conversation about our futures.
All right, so let's take a moment and hear from some kids who discuss the impact of the football program on their academics. And when we come back, we'll talk to another educator, this one assigned to teach in Watts.
Football at its core brings to a young man discipline, focus, motivation, and whatever that motivation may be. It may be that I have to do well in class to play football, which isn't necessarily the best way to approach it, I think, but it's still a road to take in terms of pushing and expecting academic excellence. But it does bring to you, as a young man growing up in football in the context of academics, that I have to get up, I've got to do it. I don't feel well, I'm tired, but I have to do it. Your football brings that I've got to accomplish something mentality. I've got to be able to pick myself up and get back either on the field or in the classroom, whatever it may be. And those are life skills that I think are very valuable when they're taught to young people. And I think Alpha is trying to instill that sense that football is important, but the academic stuff is more important. And to have one, you have to have the other. And bringing that lesson to young people at an early age before they start to perhaps head down the wrong road is doing them a service that is invaluable.
And football is like a reward, I guess, to us. If we do good in school, you know, we get to play. And it also teaches us about being responsible and on time and everything, because in our school, if you were late or something, then our coach would know. So it teaches us to be respectful, on time, and honest.
Yeah, football taught me a lot more responsibility towards my school, like academics and all that stuff. Before I used to like slack off a bit and be like, okay, if I don't do this, I'm good, whatever. Now I have like I really don't have much missing work in my classes anymore because I have to turn things in on time and turn them in like good, so you know, then I'll be able to keep up my GPA, so I'll be able to play. And if not, you know, my GPA went down last week, and I did so much to get it back up, and then I was able to practice and play today, so it does really teach you responsibility.
Playing football and being a student athlete means that what it meant to me is that if I wanted to play football, I had to keep my grades up. So every time I had to practice or anything, I had to do my homework, work in my class, pay attention to my teachers, follow the rules, not disciplining anybody, and just like being pinpoint and being good in school and in football.
Well, I'm different than both of them because I just started playing football like 2 months ago. So it taught me a lot of new things, you know, being part of a team, and people depended on me because they are like, if they didn't get anything, they just ask me. And I know that everybody knows that I'm supposed to know what to do in every situation. So it taught me a lot more about knowing everything, doing my studying and everything. And it also helps as a reward for us, because after all of the hard work we do in school, it helps to know that after school we get to have fun and go play. And yeah, it actually like encouraged us to go to college and look for new opportunities. Before I was just thinking, you know, I'm gonna get a job and that's it, because before I used to play soccer, and I guess I was interested in it, but I didn't see myself as doing it in the future. And now with all the things that I learned and saw here, I know that if I put enough effort to it and good grades and everything, I know that I might have a chance of playing football for college.
I'm excited to have another member of the Teach for America Corps joining us this evening. Jeff Astor teaches biology and chemistry at a charter school in Watts. Thanks for being with us, Jeff.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Good. So where'd you go to college?
I went to Claremont McKenna College, which is close by in the Claremont-Pomona area. Actually rivals with Alpha School.
Awesome. So now you're teaching in Watts, again, through this program. It's kind of a 2-year commitment. Mm-hmm. And I understand you also skated through taking what?
Well, I took a lot of biochemistry courses. I majored in biology, but my main focus was in chemistry and in other molecular biology classes as well.
Now, I'm saying that mostly because I want to point out the fact that both of you are on a career path to potentially become doctors. You're taking your MCATs, and you as well, right, Jeff?
Yes, I am. I'm studying currently. I'll be taking it September 1st. So I got a lot ahead of me.
Kind of, again, this is a program, the Teach for America Corps, where your career is being put on hiatus. Your grad school is being put on hiatus a little bit while you go and serve duty. That's kind of why I refer to it as the Peace Corps for American education. You're kind of doing this 2-year commitment. Who founded the Corps?
I believe it's Wendy Kopp. She was a graduate of Princeton who had this idea where she would take high-performing college seniors, put them out in the field with education and understanding how youth learn and grow and develop, and trying to connect with them at a personal level. And I think it's been really successful so far.
So this is just the brainstorm of a Princeton grad student who says, you know, if we take these great college students that are taking hard subjects and get them into all of these schools, you know, these schools may benefit. You're in Watts.
I am. I teach currently at Alliance Cindy and Bill Simons Technology Academy High School. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but it's a great place. It's a beautiful building on 108th in Wilmington. We're a technology academy, but we have a charter to serve the community, and we take any student that applies. It's pretty incredible.
So it's a technology academy that's open to any enrollees.
Yeah, absolutely. We also have computers on a 1-to-1 basis with each of the students, which they check out at the beginning of the day, and they check back in at the end.
Okay, you went through that fast. I just want to
Yes.
put the brakes on. So I don't think Watts is not at all what its reputation, I think, carries forward. It's a good community. But I don't think most people would think that a school in Watts would have a technology program where the average student, because you accept anybody that comes in, would have access to a computer all day long every day.
Well, we were very fortunate to have generous donations from the Dell Foundation and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where we now have these computers that the students can really use for multiple things in the classroom and out of the classroom. I think it helps build skills that'll be useful in whatever academic or career choice they make. It'll also be helpful when they're trying to develop, if they want to go into graphic design, if they want to go into the film industry. I think everything nowadays uses technology and computers, and it's really fortunate these kids have a chance to just be intimately involved with computers every day.
You know, we did a teacher town hall here a few weeks ago, and one of the educators stood up and said, you know, we confiscate kids' cell phones. These are really mobile computers, these smartphones. We are telling them, don't introduce technology. You have to learn everything through rote memorization. When in fact, technology and access to information and knowing how to use it is probably even more important. And it sounds like your school, and to a degree your school, is enabling it. Certainly a one-to-one computer system is.
I mean, I think it's the cutting edge of education in the future, in that computers are going to be necessary for everything going forward. And I think it's really essential that these students get used to that right now, typing their essays, developing skills on the internet. I think there's also, it provides multiple ways for kids to see things and watch videos. I actually work with another chemistry teacher as well as with Alpha in developing digital curriculum. So we video record our lessons and let the kids watch the lessons on the computers during class, outside of class, so they can have as many opportunities to learn the stuff as they can find.
These are both fairly innovative schools, and is yours new, or is it been around a while?
This will be the third year we open.
Third year, and for you, 2005, I think, is when you opened. So we've heard a lot over the past decade about the need to kind of shake up the system and introduce new methodologies, and it sounds very much like your charter school and your charter school are doing it, and kind of not by design, but in cooperation in this case with Teach for America Corps. How big is Teach for America Corps?
This year it's big. It's
expanded.
The biggest LA or most diverse LA Corps that this region has ever seen, and it is one of the largest. So we have a lot more Corps members coming in this year. We found a lot of placement sites, and I'm actually really excited to see what this 2012 Corps does, because me and Jeff have been doing some work with them these past couple of weeks at the induction, and they're solid. There's some solid teachers.
Driven teachers, definitely. Future teachers in the making.
So both of you are now out there kind of telling these college kids, you know, these graduates, that they need to be doing what you're doing.
Well, we're guiding them.
That's a little drastic, but we give them some good advice and give them anecdotes, our experiences, share with them, let them hear our stories, and let that resonate with them and take it where they want to take it, because at the end of the day, everybody's in front of their own classroom, and they have to be comfortable in doing things the way that they could teach.
You know, we've spent, now this is our 14th episode on this series, and we've profiled so many great Inland Empire programs. Some of them are just within a county, some of them are just within a few high schools, but AmeriCorps, as I understand, isn't just in California, it's in...
Oh, it's nationwide. They serve areas from the Mississippi Delta, New York. They actually just recently opened up a program in Seattle, I believe, in New Orleans. They have a great influence in the Bay Area, in California as well, Sacramento. So AmeriCorps is spread nationwide, along with across the world in the Peace Corps.
AmeriCorps.
So really kind of under the radar. Nobody's really revisited it. I think that the national dialogue is focused now on No Child Left Behind and the testing, and whether we should be focusing on STEM or holistic development of the students. And while we've been having that discussion, kind of under the radar, all of these schools and all of these programs have started that are helping kids, and you're amongst them. This idea of placing these teachers in with these students that could benefit from it, even though it's temporary. Like you said, you are making an impact. I really like, by the way, Alpha, what you said about when you started the football program, you became Coach Anders, and it gave you a second dimension to your relationship with these students. I've heard the benefits of sports in college, the team building, the discipline. Some of the kids talked about it, but I've never heard a teacher say that it enhanced the relationship with a student by giving that student two dimensions onto you.
I feel like being young teachers, some people will say, oh, it's going to cripple. You don't have experience. It's new. It's hard. But I think it's an advantage. Being 23 years old and having students 5 to 7 years younger than us, we have a lot of the same interests. Watch the same TV shows, listen to the same music, play the same video games. They keep asking me for my gamer tag on Call of Duty. They want to play. Telling them when they graduate high school, we'll play on some online gaming together. But this allows us to have an authentic relationship that we could build upon, and all these interests that we share. My end game is hopefully to transfer our mutual interests in these media and superficial type of interests into chemistry and help develop that interest in chemistry because we have this in common. Well, this guy likes video games and likes this TV show, likes chemistry. Maybe chemistry's not that bad.
It's about building relationships. So if you can find connections with your students, I think it's invaluable for in the classroom, out of the classroom. It's essential to establish those relationships so that the students respect you and you can respect them in return.
Jeff, how did you come into contact with AmeriCorps?
Well, my family is somewhat medieval in the sense that we all have the same trade. There's a lot of teachers in my family. My grandpa was a principal for 30 years. My mother teaches special education in the Glendale Unified School District. My aunts teach art, and my uncle teaches at Trade Tech. We're all over. So I initially was very put off by the idea of teaching. But through talk with some of my colleagues and friends, I learned a little bit about AmeriCorps, spoke to a few people who are high up in Teach for America, and I was really struck and pulled in by their passion and drive and commitment to this effort to help low-income youth close the education gap and achieve to their fullest potential.
You know, it's interesting because I heard from your stories, both before the show started and during the show, about the fact that you didn't initially think that teaching was going to be your career path, but Alpha, in your talking about how you impact 100 students, it's very meaningful. That came across both when you were talking before the show and to a lesser degree during the show, not because it's less passion, but we just haven't had the same kind of time. And Jeff, I can tell it from you too.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I mean, I think it's in everything we do. We have to have that drive and commitment and passion for teaching to really make the lasting impact that's going to change the trajectory of our students, get them out of the cycle of failure they may have experienced from some of the middle schools and elementary schools they come from, and into this as like a potential where we stress everything that's there for them and how to get there, and really put kids in the right place to succeed in life.
So let me ask Jeff, how are you accepted in Watts?
It's a little different, given the fact that about 30% of my community is African American and about 60% of my community, or 65, is Latino, which has made getting in the classroom a little different. But I feel that I've made connections with my students in that I love Mexican food. I coach basketball, so my basketball student athletes really accept me and have taken me into their culture, and I've experienced a ton of great stuff with them, as well as getting really immersed in this Latin culture that I had never really had a lot of experience with. So it's been a ride, I gotta say.
You know, you mentioned football, Alpha, and basketball, but a lot of the students I know that you work with are interested in soccer. I just have to say, it's the most maligned sport in America, I think, because if you watch all of our movies and TV shows, even commercials that air in prime time, it all shows kids playing soccer, and yet then once they graduate, everything is suddenly football or basketball.
So, I mean, I think any sport, any interest is awesome for a student to have. I think that the ability to go and extend your school day and continue doing positive activities after school is essential to having a good school career. You know, you have positive connotations to being at school. You want to be there. You enjoy being there. Whether it's soccer, football, cross country, track, whatever it is, go after school, hang out, have friends, work together, teamwork. It's really essential. And the extracurriculars, I think, really are something that makes our school great in the sense that it's small, but we still provide them. We still give students the outlet to experience that larger school feel and get to enjoy sports in different clubs with each other.
You're talking about having the kids on the school grounds, and you talked a little bit about raising the bar, 2.0, 2.5 is just the prerequisite to get on the field or start. But tell me about study hall.
Study hall. Oh, it's my favorite part of the day. It's the time of the day where students get to come in, hang out, and make sure that they learn my class. I have all my players except for 2 are in my chemistry class, and all my players have A's or B's in my chemistry class. Because, I mean, my own player can't pass my own class. What does that say about their coach? So I love having study hall. Having a strong math background and chemistry background allows me to help them in the subjects that they find most difficult. So even if
What do you do if they, like, when the hours are short and it gets dark at night and they don't want to go home late?
They come in the morning. So study hall is before school or after practice. And you're going to study hall. If you want to practice, you got to come study. And it's pretty cool. And luckily my assistant coaches, my friends that went to school with me, they played with me, Brian Opritza and Russell Oka, they would come in and ask the students if they needed any help with their English or history work and writing, because that's not my forte. And so they have any sort of like resource, help that they could ever have. And if I can't provide it for them, they just have to go to the teacher next door or the tutor, there we go, lost the word. The tutor, and they just have to get a note, come back, and tell me they're studying with them. But as long as they're at school studying, I'm happy.
And if they're in study hall, they're texting and what?
No. The same rules apply to classroom as it does study hall. I pester them. Let's get to work. It's time to work. Check that out. That's a cool problem. Let's get it done.
And that's kind of your spirit of you're there to teach, not just dump the information on them.
I mean, if I just was there to dump information on them, I'd have no fun with my job. That sounds kind of boring to me. I enjoy getting to be up there, having students listen to me. My favorite times are whenever I have a lesson that's really good and I feel like my students are hanging on my every word. That's when my job's the best. And it's like not only are they learning, but they're having fun, and that makes me have fun. And when we're both having fun and we're doing good things together, and that's what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it to have a good time while doing something good.
And Jeff, you teach biology and chemistry too, right?
Both subjects, yes.
Wow, both difficult subjects.
You know, it takes a lot of pre-work. You have to front load everything, but it's a lot of fun. We did rat dissections near the end of the year. We also got to blow up a couple things, potassium nitrate. It's a long story, but my students really got invested in it.
I would imagine they would. You know, we have a tweet that came in from Allie Hendricks. What was your most memorable moment with the kids and your most difficult? Jeff, I'll let you start.
I can start with my most difficult. There was a lab one of my afternoons where a student spilled some sulfuric acid on my pants, and that was a very scary moment for a second. So I taught them safety directly through a little experience. But it was, in the end of the day, finishing the lab was pretty incredible. Watching the students really get hands-on, intimate experience with science is something that they might not have had in the past, and it's really, really rewarding to watch them get invested and engaged with this really difficult, complex science that they end up loving.
Great. And Alpha, what about you?
So I'm going to start with negative, so get in positive. My most difficult moment, and it was actually a great moment for me to learn in terms of being a teacher at a school like mine. I assigned this awesome Facebook project. My students had to make a Facebook of a scientist that helped develop an atom, and I was like, oh, this is going to relate to them. They're going to love it. And my students, while they're in class, did love it, but they didn't get it done on their own. And I had 3 students out of all of mine, or 3 groups, so that comprised about 12 students, 10, 12 students, finish it on time. And it was one of those things that I can't get mad at them, because if it's only 3 out of all of them, I got to look at myself, and I got to think about what I did in assigning this project. And what I reflected on is this is a group project, and they're not all hanging out with each other after school. They have siblings that they have to take care of. They have things they have to do. They have responsibilities outside of school, and some of them may not be able to meet together to get their job done. Maybe I should have given them more class time. Maybe I could have helped deliver this project better. So it was difficult, but at least I got to learn from it and realize, hey, if I'm going to assign group projects, this is going to be done in class, because it's going to be hard for them to do these things outside of school. So that was a difficult moment, but I gave them the next week to work on it, and I got the majority of them in by the end of the semester. So that was solid.
And the rewarding?
The rewarding. I had a student, Sergio. He told me that At the beginning of the year, who wants to graduate? Who wants to go to college? His hand was down. And that was frustrating because to not even have that want and that ambition, it's hard to see because like I feel like at the end of the day, every student wants to graduate. Every student wants to go to college, but there's those seeds of doubts that's been implanted in their minds over the years. But this kid just said he didn't want to, and that was rough to see. But over the year, there's this transition in the student's attitude, and I can't take full credit. I got to give credit to the rest of the teachers at my school because it wasn't just in my class. And he went from having below failing grades, not on track to graduate, to ending this year with a 4.0.
4.0?
A 4.0, straight
Not
A's.
making that up.
Look at his transcript. And it was really cool to see, and it was really cool to see this success. And in the process, we developed a pretty strong relationship. I like the kid. He'll come in, ask me questions. He was one of the most, at first, asked me no questions. At the end of the year, if there was anything I didn't understand, immediately ask it right after I taught it. And then he'd tell everybody else at his table how to do it. And it was really cool to see that.
Good transition. That was a great tweet, Ali. Okay, Jeff, why Watts? How do people get picked for where they're going to go?
Well, Teach for America is sort of the organization that puts developing teachers in touch with certain institutions and schools. Some get placed in public schools. Some, like myself, get placed in charter institutions where they take teachers who are coming in ready to work hard and really get engaged with the school and get involved. And I was introduced to the Alliance Network through a special education teacher named Siobhan Jacobs. And she brought me into the process, got me hired by the school, and I'm now serving there, and I couldn't be more happy with my placement site. Watts is a rich, diverse community, and it offers so much in the terms of where kids start out and what potential they have to go further in their lives and to kind of experience a real academic environment like the one my school provides. So it's been really interesting. It's been a ride for me, but I'd say it's probably one of the most incredible things I've ever done.
So let me challenge you both and ask if you think that these kind of new charters and this innovations that are occurring, including, for instance, in your case, the one-to-one computer-student ratio, are those going to transform the way we're teaching kids in America?
I think technology is already transforming the way kids learn. I mean, they have their iPhones right out. They can find something out in 1 second. So why should I memorize it? I think there's a lot of new and upcoming technologies that are going to revolutionize the way we deliver content, the way we see if kids understand it. I think it's changing everything, and for the better.
So does that mean we should suspend classes in, say, AP European history?
I don't know if I go that far. There's definitely a lot of value in every subject, but it's just that we have to look at what's going to be happening in the future and prepare our kids for it, because that's what it's their future, and that's what our goal is to prepare our kids for their future in the best way possible.
I think a big thing with education, and given the fact that technology is in front of everything, it's in front of law, it's in front of education, it's just blazing down the road, and we're trying to keep up and have our establishments and our institutions keep up with what technology is delivering. And in education, like Jeff was saying, Google, boom, I have what I need. What we need to do is teach kids how to figure that out. I had an awesome biochemistry class with Professor Szynski. Great instructor, great professor. And that class was all packets, and there were no tests, no memorization, and he would just give us killer homework problems. Packets of problems that just took hours to figure out the answers because we'd search online. Here's a piece of information, here's one, we got to connect it and keep going. And teaching that skill, the ability to use the web efficiently, that's, I think, something that schools should start working on, because the web is a hard place to navigate. If you're trying to look up something besides a celebrity's like hair color, it's going to be pretty hard to figure out exactly where this piece of information is and how does it relate with this random other search. And so connecting facts and being able to help students synthesize knowledge from fact to fact and then bridging them is something that I think education needs to start working on more. And I like to try to give students pieces of information and have them connect it themselves in class. I'm trying to model that without the awesome one-to-one ratio that Jeff has. But I do my best to try to keep up with that type of mind thought and mind working with these things called think, pair, shares. Here's a clue, what do you think it is? In the lesson, we find out what it actually is. So it's that type of inquiry-based learning that really needs to come to the surface of education.
You know, you bring out such a good point. I know for myself, Online, there's so many formula calculators now that you can put in a complex algebra problem and it'll come back with the answer for you. And it's tough to justify teaching, my high schooler to learn the quadratic formula, by heart when they can just look it up. But indeed, what I would really want him to learn, like you say, is synthesizing information. If there's regional conflict breaking out, I know he's not into politics, but for instance, I would want him to understand that he can go and look up not just the Wikipedia biography of a famous person, that's easy, but like you say, take disparate facts and connect them, maybe the regional histories, and see where historically they've had their conflicts that may be rising tensions today.
It's about higher level thinking. It's about using these technologies we have and the facts we can get from them and establishing more critical thinking skills and more analysis, letting students really get into the content and delve deeper than they might have been able to before.
Is that happening, or are we still a little behind the curve on that?
Like I said, technology is blazing down the street, and so we're doing our best to keep up. And it's more or less, our classes at LMU have been focusing on that. So that credentialing program, they at least understand, and they are bringing that to the surface of our knowledge, and they are teaching us how to have a lesson plan in that format. It's just a matter of time before everyone figures out that students learn the best this way, and it's not just learning the material, but it translates into their lives the most effectively.
Alpha, I just want to make an important distinction. What you're talking about, teaching kids how to access the information that's now accessible to them through technology, that's very different than what we're talking about when we say technology in the classroom. When people say technology in the classroom, we're talking, computer projectors. Mm-hmm. We're not talking teaching them how to synthesize information or how to look up non-obvious facts and connect them. And that's, I think, where the next step. And one of the steps, I think, is, Jeff, in your situation, giving them access to a computer. I don't know if they have access to computers at home, but I know a lot of these regions, it was not normal for kids to have a computer in their household.
Most of my community does not have access to wireless internet. In the two largest projects, it's not readily available. But when they're in school, they have access to Google and Gmail, and they can establish accounts that they can email potential colleges, potential employers. I work on Google Docs a lot so that kids can collaborate on assignments at the same time and synthesize material that they're all taking and put it into one document so they can all work at the same time. It really adds to the classroom environment to have technology right there, readily available in their face.
My final comment will be, you're going to graduate kids that are able to use technology more adroitly than the employees that are the senior employees in the institutions they're going to take employment from.
That's the goal. We want to make them not just ready for college, but ready for the world. And this world is changing fast. And so our education and the way we deliver it needs to change with it.
Great. And that's our time. I'd like to thank our guests, Alpha Anders and Jeff Astor, for being with us tonight. This concludes our live programs in this series, but you can see each of them rebroadcast in their entirety the weekend of July 14th and July 15th throughout each of those days. I'm Roger Bowman, and I want to thank you again for watching Plugged Inland.